Hello viewers, I'm Nana Ahunu, and we are going to discuss the main character Adah in Buchi Emecheta Second Class Citizen. This text is an African novel studied at senior high school by students offering literature in English. This text primarily painted out discrimination against women in society. About the author. The novel is written by Buchi Emecheta, a Nigerian feminist writer. She shares most of her experiences in the novel she writes, especially The Second Class Citizen, where she highlights on female education in a predominantly male culture. Her voice as a female writer has been felt because of her emphasis on what the African woman goes through in her marriage. She is considered as one of the greatest women writers of Africa. Experiences. Background of the novel, Second Class Citizen. The novel is first set in Africa, Nigeria, then in the UK. The title of the novel is multifaceted. The word second class pertains to girls who in African culture are less rated than boys. Thus, boy is encouraged to go to school whilst Adah remains at home. She is rated second class by her husband, Francis, who considers himself a first class male, although Adah feeds him while he has no job. In England, where Adah and the husband live, is evidently second rate, and so occupied by second-class citizens based on their skin color, and as such, they do not enjoy the same status as natives. This classification is burdensome, and it weighs on Adah as she lives out her daily life. Character identification of Adah. She is the firstborn of her parents and originally called Adah Ofili. She becomes Adah Obi in her marriage, an Ibiza woman married to an Ibiza man named Francis. Her parents are Pa and Ma a seamstress, and Pa a railway molder. She is not so beautiful. She is said to be cranky and ugly, and all skin and bone. She is a brilliant girl whose brother boy is considered more important than she is. Average in height, light skin, very ingenious, hardworking, and intelligent. She is a prolific woman with 5 children. Francis Obi, a very quiet young man born in the 1940s, just like his wife. Yeah. His age is close to his wife's. Stout in stature and of average height. A professed Christian who doesn't take his Christianity seriously. As Adah's husband, he travels to the UK to read accountancy, and over there exhibits gross antisocial behavior. Adah's birth and early childhood. Adah has an intriguing and mysterious background. She recalls her earliest memories, which date back when she was 8 years old. Her parents are from Ibiza. She's born near Lagos, Nigeria. And she was not even quite sure that she was exactly 8 because, you see, she was a girl. Her birth was a disappointment. She was a girl who had arrived when everyone was expecting and predicting a boy. So since she was such a disappointment to her parents, to her immediate family, and to her tribe, nobody thought of recording her birth. She was so insignificant at the time. She overcomes strict tribal domination of women and countless setbacks to achieve an independent life for herself and her children. Why Adah didn't go to school initially. As the chief character, she schooled in the 1950s. She didn't go to school because her parents desired not to have her educated. They rather wanted boy, her younger brother, to be educated because he was a male child. Girls then were to be married once they have primary education. A year or two will do as long as she can write her name and count. Then she will learn how to sew. Adah has heard her mother say this many times to her friends. Adah's dream to go to school. It was the presence that drove her to school because she thought to herself, if not for Ma, Pa would have seen to it that I started school with boy. Boy attended Ladilak Institute, a very small preparatory school where children were not taught Yoruba or any African language. They were highly motivated by middle-class values. Her burning desire to get education made her take certain drastic measures. One afternoon, while she was done with her chores, a thought suddenly struck her. Yes, she would go to school. She would not go to Lalilak because boy was there and they might ask her to pay, it being such an expensive school. She would go to the Methodist school round the corner where Mr. Ko, the neighbor from Sierra Leone, living next door to them, taught there. Yes, she would go there. Adah's first day at school, her dress was clean enough and she smartened it up with an old scarf. She twisted it round and round so much that it looked like a palm tree climber's rope. She tied it round her little waist, pulling up her baggy dress up a little. She slipped past her mom and her friend unnoticed and went off to the Methodist school. She ran as fast as she could before anyone could stop her. She ran a little, got tired, trotted like a lame horse. Tired of trotting, she walked. Soon she was at the school compound. All the classes were separated from each other by low cardboard-like partitions. With her head up, in determination, she walked down the center looking for Mr. Cole's class. Pretty soon she entered and found Mr. Cole in class 3. She told Mr. Cole, I came to school, my parents will not send me. Since Pa won't let me, I have come. While other children went to school with writing material and stationery, she went with a broken slate which her father used for shaving. She had no school bag, so she slipped the broken plate into her baggy dress. Thus she went to school with unprescribed school uniform, which looked like a bag. Adah's first day at school was very eventful. She went in the afternoon, met the kind Mr. Cole. The whole class giggled at her presence. She was made to sit by the boy with crocro, a type of skin disease, and he gave her a bit of his pencil. Adah scribbled away, enjoying the smell of dried sweat, and she never forgot the smell of school. Mr. Cole, the kind-hearted teacher, bought Adah boli, roasted plantain, and reassured her that she could come back again if she liked, but if her parents would not allow her to come, he would take it upon himself to teach her the alphabet. Upon Mr. Cole indicating that they need to go home, Adah grudgingly feels that the day was too short. Her ma was punished by the police for child neglect. Her ma was then advised by the police to sell one of her colorful lappers and send her to school because she looked like a child who was keen to learn. When they returned home from the police station, Pa fished out the cane and gave her a few strokes for ma's sake. Adah embraces higher education. Adah's burning desire to get secondary education drove her to steal cousin Vincent's 2 shillings to purchase the common entrance form. Cousin Vincent used koboko and gave her 103 strokes for telling lies. The koboko was a type of cane the houses used for their horses. She considered herself a martyr. She was being punished for what she believed in. She had earned the 2 shillings. The headmaster at the school didn't believe Adah when she said she was going to sit for the common entrance. He looked at her Kosciuszko-ridden body for a very long time, then shrugged his shoulders. One can never tell with you Igbos. You are the greatest mystery the good God has created. So he put her name down. Adah was dreaming of winning a scholarship when Ma's sister-in-law asked her how she proposed to get money for her fees since her father was dead. That was too big an ambition for a girl like her too. Not only did she pass the entrance examination, she also got a scholarship with full board. Since then, she has started to be overawed by the present. It existed right beside her, just like a companion. It comforted her during the long school holidays when she could not go home because there was no home for her to go to. Past death almost shatters Adah's dream, but she remains in school. Adah's early marriage. The marriage starts on a wrong footing. Both of them underage. They forgot the wedding ring and cannot be wedded at the registry without a ring. The wedding was postponed till the next day. Adah gets married to Francis Obi. Her equally young Nigerian husband was reading to become an accountant. The purpose for the marriage was to get a home to lay her head after high school and also to continue her education. Adah congratulated herself on her marriage. The wedding was a hilarious affair. Francis was too poor. He couldn't afford to pay the £500 bride price Ma and the other members of the family were asking for. Francis's mother had to sign the marriage certificate with her thumb. Though both couples were educated, after the wedding, the newlyweds went home in a bus. It was the saddest day in Adah's whole life since no relatives of hers attended the ceremony. Adah's marital life and the sudden prosperity. For months after the marriage at the registry office, she was sad, very sad. Soon, however, things improved. Adah gave birth to a daughter, and she and Francis were both delighted with the baby. Then, after endless interviews and form fillings, Adah was selected to work as a librarian in the American Consulate Library at Campbell Street. The size of her pay pocket worried Francis, and he lamented to his father, "Her pay will be 3 times my own. My colleagues at my work will laugh at me." But his father replies, "Let her go and work for 1,000,000 Americans and bring her money here." Adah would have to be protected, especially on the paydays, by Francis, who served as a bodyguard for his wife and their money. On the first payday, both husband and wife carried the money in Adah's workplace like a delicate baby. Based on her pay package, she became the breadwinner for Francis' 7 sisters, Francis's parents, Francis himself, and they also had 2 paid maids. She gave birth to many children within the shortest possible time, and the children became her hope. Adah travels. Adah sponsors Francis to leave for the UK first, though she was given the opportunity. While she wanted to travel, Francis wanted her to remain in Lagos to support the family because of her big pay packet. Adah bribes her mother-in-law with jewels and lies she was only going to visit. Adah arrives cold in England. Her second child was almost 9 months. Adah's work life. In Africa, she first worked as a librarian in the American Consulate in Nigeria. Whilst in the UK, she worked at the Finchley Central Library, then Chalk Farm Library. She had positive influences. Example, Bill and Peggy, who read Adah's manuscript and acknowledged her mastery as a writer. Adah experiences England. In England, she went through agony. The society discriminated against her. Her husband tried to thwart her efforts. Francis has become sophisticated in many ways. He expected her to be kept subservient to him. She is forced to live her life as a second-class citizen. Adah is considered as a property. She's made to support her husband and the children. She needs his permission to practice birth control. Frances burns her manuscript, the novel she has written entitled The Bride Price. That was the last straw that broke the camel's back that triggered their divorce. Adah's fight against discrimination. She faced rejection and stereotyping. She enrolls herself in school when she's denied the chance by her family. After Frances has left for England, Adah works out her way to travel. Adah is ready to take risks when and where necessary, both in her home country and in the UK. Highlights on qualities and role of Adah. Adah plays significant roles. First, as a supportive wife, she loved, cared, and provided for Francis, irrespective of his irresponsible nature. As a loving mother, she loved, provided for her children by working assiduously even during pregnancy. As a librarian, she was dutiful and enjoyed her work by reading most of the books and also learned interpersonal skills. As a young writer, she was determined and persevered. She loved her newfound job and regarded her manuscript as her brainchild, just as Bill described it. Adah valued her writing such that Frances burning the manuscript was equal to the burning of her marriage. In the novel, Adah was skillfully used to highlight some pains and challenges females face in the world simply because they were not born men. Conclusion. In the face of hardship and ill treatment at the hands of Francis, Adah chooses divorce as a means of freeing herself from an abusive and repressive marriage. In conclusion, we have looked at the following: the birth and background of Adah, the protagonist, her early life, education, and marital life, and finally her experiences in England. Viewers, these are some of the few qualities of Adah that we all as females can learn from. She plays the role of a strong-willed woman, mother, wife, and breadwinner, an enthusiastic worker, an intelligent woman, a very determined woman with a dream, and finally, a risk taker. What did you also learn from the story that you can apply to your life? Comment